for many years. Don't scare him. And he's wonderful energy, wonderful healer. When I did my ministry weekends up at Harmony Grove back in the day, I'd always asked Douglas to be one of my healers and message bearers. He's always got a calm, gentle energy and is always happy to do God's work. Such a blessing. The Douglas R. Barker, metaphysical teacher, light worker, art history instructor, and passionate world traveler. 14 years residence in Europe changed his life forever. His major influences were Alan Watts, Rudolf Steiner, trained in his alternative education system, the Waldorf schools, Osho. He became a disciple and a diploma in astrological counseling from a school in Switzerland. Initiation as a priest of Wicca, initiation in the use of the sacred Native American pipe, 4 years residence in Sedona, ayahuasca memories and ceremonies in Peru, certificates in mediumship, and hands-on healing from Harmony Grove Spiritual Association in Escondido, and most recently, Hawaiian shamanism. Douglas is working today with Tarot, mediumship, their special cards, Leonard Main, goddess cards, and shaman stones. Douglas has always been very interesting to talk to anytime. He always has wealth of knowledge of history and would do tours over through Europe too. So it's just very fascinating. And we welcome warmly, please, Douglas Barker.
Well, good morning to all of you.
Good morning.
Everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Good. Okay. Well, today my topic is going to be working with the Archangel Michael. Now, how many of you have had a contact with the Archangel? Feel that in some way or other? Good, okay. So I'm going to start out by saying, well, what exactly is an angel? And the word angel comes from the Greek word angelos, which means literally messenger. Angels are servants of God, and they carry out His will. They're go-betweens between people and God, and they help protect and sustain everything in God's universe. Now, angels are mentioned in the Bible over 300 times. Angels also exist in Zoroastrianism, Judaism, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, and Baha'i. Now, according to a tradition, they were created on the second day of creation. And they were never human beings, but they can appear as one in certain times of need. Now, in Jewish tradition, you'll find that in the Old Testament, angels are always masculine. In Christianity, they're as sexless as school buses. But in John Milton's classic Paradise Lost, the angels enjoy sensual lives and frequently make love. Now, back in the 6th century BC, Zoroaster, one of the great spiritual teachers, was the first to teach of angelic winged beings that serve God, and as well about the demons who oppose them. And such winged beings also appear in the ancient Near East in Sumerian and Babylonian art. And many of the Jewish angels, in fact, were probably originally Babylonian gods. And the Jews would have absorbed these types of ideas during the so-called Babylonian captivity, when for 70 years they were living in the Babylonian Empire. Now, many of you, I think, have heard of the Essenes, right?
Yes.
Okay. They had a highly developed angelology, and they believed they needed to commune with angels regularly, normally mornings and evenings. And they were enjoined never to reveal the angelic names to outsiders, which suggests that they were probably used in various types of magical incantations. Now, about 500 AD, we have this rather mysterious figure who appears in the Near East called Dionysius the Areopagite. Now you're wondering, what on earth is that? Well, an Areopagite is somebody who hangs around the Areopagus, which means the hill of Ares. It's an outcrop at the foot of the Acropolis. Today it's a great place to sit and watch the light show, and they have that, the Sommet Lumiere. And he is mentioned in the New Testament as having been a judge, and he was converted to Christianity by St. Paul. Well, about 500 AD, this unknown priest or monk in the Near East refers to himself as Dionysius the Areopagite and writes a couple of very, very influential treatises that are influential for centuries in Christianity after that. Now, this was not considered fraud to use that name. What he was meaning by this was these are the teachings of the original Dionysius, who in the meantime had acquired this reputation as being some kind of a miraculous sort of figure, and that he would be able, or that he was understanding the teachings in this way. And Dionysius is the one who created the word hierarchy to describe the different levels of angels. He gave 9 different ranks. And the angels are actually at the very bottom, and then come archangels, and up at the very top you have cherubim, and at the very top, seraphim. And I'm not going to go into all the intermediates, that would lead us too far off track. However, he wrote a treatise, very influential, called The Celestial Hierarchies. Now, the archangels are ruling angels, and they are closer to God, whereas angels are closer to human beings. And archangels care for the other angels and also assist humanity. Now, in the book of Revelations, chapter 8, verse 2, it reads, "And I saw the 7 angels which stand before God." Now, these are believed in tradition to be archangels, and there are different lists of who they actually were. But Michael appears in all of them. He is considered to be the greatest of the archangels and the commander-in-chief of the heavenly forces, tirelessly fighting the forces of evil. It was Michael who cast Satan and the rebel angels out of paradise, and he was rewarded by receiving the souls of people as they enter heaven. And he's the one who weighs their good and bad deeds. So consequently, when you see depictions of the archangel, he's often holding a balance in his hand and is thereby the Lord of Karma. Now, he's described in the book of Daniel in the Old Testament as Michael, one of the chief princes. In the New Testament, in the book of Jude, he's described as Michael the Archangel. Now, his name in Hebrew, Michael, means who is like God, which could be either a statement or a question, because he's considered to be so close to God, he's virtually synonymous with him. And unfortunately, in English, when he's called Michael, the name El, which is the name of God in ancient Hebrew, is slurred. Now, although he was never canonized as a saint, the church came to refer to him as Saint Michael. Why? Because saints are advanced souls who, after their deaths, continue to work for the good of suffering mankind. Now, despite the fact that Michael was never a human being, people feel closer to saints than they do to angels, and so he was referred to as Saint Michael, and that brought him closer to Christian believers. Now, Michael is also considered to be the archangel of the sun. So consequently, churches in Europe that were dedicated to the archangel were often built up on hilltops, because those were the first places illuminated by the sun in the morning and the last places at night. And you can think of a couple of famous examples. You've all seen pictures of Mont Saint-Michel on the coast of France with a church of St. Michael up at the top. And you have St. Michael's Mount in Cornwall on the other side of the channel. And then you've probably seen pictures of Glastonbury Tor with that single tower on top, which is all that's left of the church of St. Michael that was there. There are also some rather interesting ley lines. You all know what ley lines are, right? No.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
No.
Energy lines, currents that run through the surface of the earth. And at nodal points and at places where the energy is very strongly felt, people tend to build sanctuaries, temples, churches, and things like this. Well, if you don't have illustrations, but you have a rough idea of what England looks like on a map. And going across the south of England, the place where England is at its broadest is the so-called Michael Ley Line. And it goes through about 8 different churches that are dedicated to the Archangel. Goes through the circle at Avebury, the stone circle, and so on. And a lot of these churches are built up on tops of hills or on rocky outcrops, so it totally fits in with the symbolism. Now, the interesting thing is there's another ley line that begins in Ireland and goes all the way to the Holy Land. And this one starts at Skellig Michael, which is a Viking name. It's an island just off the west coast of Ireland. And there was a tiny monastery built up on these cliff tops. And then it crosses the channel. It goes through St. Michael's Mount in Cornwall, then Mont Saint-Michel, and a couple, let's see, we're doing it this way if you're looking at the map, going through a number of sacred sites to the Archangel in France, continuing down into Italy, including Monte Gargano, which is a major Michael sanctuary on the southeast coast of Italy. And then as it goes across Greece, it suddenly changes, because who, as the Archangel of the Sun, who would be his equivalent in Greek mythology?
Helios.
Helios or Apollo, the spiritual sun. And so we find it goes right over the sanctuary of Delphi, which was sacred to Apollo, and continues on to his birthplace in the islands, and finally comes to an end at Mount Carmel in the Holy Land, which was sacred for thousands of years in various ways. So, just something to think about. Now, Michael is revered in Judaism as the protector of the Hebrew nation, and in Islam, he's known as Mikael, and he's the controller of the forces of nature and of the weather. Now, in art, when we see pictures of the Archangel, he's normally depicted as an attractive young man with a rather serious demeanor. He's winged, he's wearing armor over a white robe, and he's holding either a sword or a spear. Now, the sword will radiate a blue light, which is the color that we associate with Michael. And as Lord of Karma, he uses this sword to cut away attachments. Now, with the spear, we also see him often conquering or slaying the dragon, who is supposed to represent Satan. In other words, it's the triumph of the spiritual self over the animal instincts. Now, his holy day is on the 29th of September, and this is celebrated in the church as the Feast of Michaelmas, particularly in England. And you notice, too, that the 29th of September, this is very close to the autumn equinox, when the days begin to grow darker, and consequently our focus is more inward than it is to outer nature. And Michael, remember, battles the forces of darkness. In England, you traditionally would eat roast goose on Michaelmas. In fact, there was a saying, eat a goose on Michaelmas and you will not want for money for a year. So remember that. Now, Rudolf Steiner, whom you've heard of, placed a great deal of emphasis on Michael in his writings. He resurrected the esoteric tradition that had already existed before him of assigning each age under the rulership of a specific archangel, one of the 7. Currently, we are in the age of Michael, which began in 1879 and will last for about another 3.5 centuries. And Steiner's mystery school, which was open to the members of his society, dealt with the mysteries of Michael. So Michael represents protection, courage, and strength, self-confidence, guidance, truth, and integrity. So if you're needing any of those kinds of qualities, that's who you pray to. Now, however you contact Michael, he is a loving helper, and you can converse with him as you would with a close friend. Now, whichever method you use, when you call on him, wait for a sign that he's arrived. And this can be in any kind of a variety of ways. You might feel a slight change in temperature. You might simply feel a sense of comfort or warmth. He might appear as a kind of picture in your mind. Or you may simply experience a kind of a knowing that he's there. Then greet him and thank him for coming to you. And be sure to thank him after you finish the session. Now, if you don't have a sense of his presence, feeling, or a visual image, simply wait. Take a few deep breaths, relax, and then try again. Be patient with yourself. If he doesn't show up the first time, try another time. And don't be overly concerned as to whether he's going to appear or not, because if you're tense and worried that he may be a no-show, you'll probably be disappointed. Now, let me give you a number of ways in which you could contact the Archangel Michael. Some people, if they become very enthusiastic about it, will create an altar dedicated to him. How many of you have altars in your house that you've created at some point or other? A number of you, okay. That would be a point of focus for the presence of the Archangel. You can decorate it however you like. You would have probably a central image, which might simply be a crystal, preferably a blue crystal, or a sculpture of the Archangel, as well as a central candle that would represent him. Blue and gold candles are very appropriate, as are blue crystals. And you could spend at least several minutes in front of your altar every day, whether you're performing any kind of a ritual or not. And you should find this energizing and uplifting. You can go into a deeply relaxed meditative state and invoke Michael. And this can be simple. A sample invocation would be, for example, Blessed Archangel Michael, my beloved protector and guide, thank you for your many gifts and your efforts on my behalf. Please continue to walk with me and to protect, guide, and sustain me for all of my life. How many of you use pendulums occasionally? A few of you, okay. You can call on the Archangel and ask if he is present and wait for a yes answer, and then begin asking him questions and use your pendulum to get the answers. Of course, you'll be limited to yes or no questions with a pendulum. Prayer, of course, is a common means to contact Michael. Some practitioners, for example, like to read Psalm 85 in order to invoke him. And after reciting the last verse, you'd inhale deeply, hold it for several seconds, and then exhale deeply and simply feel his peace. Another way is to hold or to wear a blue crystal. Lapis lazuli is excellent for this purpose because it's a deep blue and has little gold speckles of iron pyrite in it. Aquamarine, turquoise, tiger's eye, and clear quartz will also work well. Try to feel the energies or the qualities of the crystal when you do this, and take your time. And when you feel ready, ask Michael to join you. You could have a pen and paper handy, and then ask Michael for clairaudient messages. Now these will appear in your mind either as thoughts, or you might hear them inwardly, and it will probably sound like your own voice. And don't evaluate the messages as you write them down. Do that later. Another way is write Michael a letter, and then seal it and address it to him. And then invoke him, open the letter, and read it aloud. So return to the envelope, and then you wait for an answer. It may come clairaudiently, or simply know that an answer will come in some fashion or other. Another interesting technique, go for a walk with Michael. First of all, you walk briskly for the first few minutes and just enjoy the fresh air, and then you can slow down your pace a bit and start to think about Michael. Send thoughts of love and thanks to him. Try to remember specific instances in which he was able to help you. You'll probably become aware in a way of Michael walking beside you, and then tell him what's on your mind. You could also ask Michael to walk beside you for a day while you focus on making improvements in some area of your life that's been causing you difficulty. And at the end of the day, evaluate your progress. Ask his help before falling asleep. The answer might appear in your mind when you wake up, or it may simply appear in your mind when you least expect it. Now, I gave a talk here once on your inner magical garden. Has anyone ever done this technique? Creating a kind of safe sanctuary in their mind? That is an excellent place to contact not only the Archangel Michael, but any other spiritual being. And it's nice to have a place in your inner garden that you reserve for speaking with guides and angels and so on. You could write out a request for Michael and then burn it in the flame of a blue or gold candle. And if you give psychic readings, ask Michael to be with you before you begin giving them. So by asking Michael for his support and his assistance and to augment within you the attributes of strength, courage, self-confidence, and integrity, the more you will be activating your own inner Michael. Because, of course, all of these beings have a corresponding factor within your own consciousness. Okay, so I want everybody now to close their eyes, and we're going to contact the Archangel. This is an excellent technique to use when you're feeling down. So first of all, take a deep breath, and as you exhale, feel yourself relax. Take another deep breath. Let it out, feeling your roots going down from the base of your feet all the way into the earth. Now take one more deep breath. Now let it out slowly. Now I'm going to count from 5 down to 1. And with each numeral, you go a little bit deeper into an altered state. 5. 4. Feeling yourself going deeper, letting go of all the thoughts that are going on in your mind. 3. Feeling yourself relax further, all cares dropping away. 2. Deeper and deeper. 1. Okay, now we're in a nice alpha state of mind. Now visualize yourself inside a protective bubble of white light. Imagine that it's hollow, and you have a hollow vertical column that is running from your crown chakra right down your spine and passing through each of your major chakras. Now, visualize the Archangel Michael standing beside you, and he's gazing at you with love and compassion. He is there to restore you, body, mind, and soul. Now, in your mind's eye, picture him kneeling beside you, and he reaches out and places his hand on the top of your head where your crown chakra is. And see a radiant cobalt blue energy entering your body through your crown and filtering down the column. As it goes through each chakra, it fills it with healing energy, and then continues on. Now, after the blue energy has filled the root chakra down at the base of your spine, see it slowly spreading out from each of the chakras, infusing every cell in your body with Michael's restorative energy. More blue energy is continuing to enter your body from your crown. It flows down into your throat chakra and then spreads out into the clear white bubble that surrounds you so that you're able to speak your truth. So continually see this bubble filling more and more with this beautiful cobalt blue energy. And when the bubble is completely full of blue energy, Michael removes his hand from the top of your head. Now, thank the Archangel for his restorative energy. And I'm going to give you a couple of minutes right now so that you can talk to Michael about anything that's troubling you or about anything on which you need information or reassurance. And I'm going to let you do this in silence for a couple of minutes. Okay, and now it's time to bid Michael farewell. Take a few moments to enjoy the feelings of well-being. Now when you're ready, I'm going to count back up to 5, starting with 1, 2, feel yourself starting to become a little bit more conscious of your surroundings. 3, more and more awake. 4, feel the seat beneath you and your feet on the floor, the air and the sounds in the room. 5, and now when you're ready, simply allow your eyes to open. You might wish to stretch a little bit. And I thank you all for your very kind attention.